we have a special guest here. So.
Well, this actually leads us to our next video.
Next one! We have Whisper of the Heart,
which
it's
has a cat.
And this is a cat.
So, Whispers of the Heart, I just recently saw. I have to say, for a Miyazaki film, it was normal.
It was a normal film.
The only bit of Miyazaki-ness that we saw was
the girl's imagination.
Yeah, the imagination dream sequence with the talking cat and the coat and the hat and the cane.
This is the precursor of The Cat Returns. The Cat Returns has its own notoriety, but this is where The Cat Returns came from. It starts out with our protagonist, Shizuku Tsukishima. She's a city girl.
She's about 12.
Yeah, she's in
6th grade and she's going into 7th.
Yeah, she's getting ready to go on to junior high,
yeah, which is
evidently,
a big deal.
Yeah, in Japan that's huge. Because if you don't study well,
you won't get into high school.
Well, no, you want to get into a good school, and they want her to get into a good school.
She's all studying hard, reading all this
Actually,
stuff.
she's not. She's reading, but she's reading for pleasure.
True.
She's reading like fiction.
Well, what other way is there to read?
Yeah, really.
Goodness.
I totally sympathize. She notices in all the the library card books
there's his name.
And
she's like, oh my god, this guy has the same taste in literature as I do.
Yes.
Maybe not quite in that accent.
She sees this sagey guy over and over in these library cards, and she's just like, he's in every single book that I've ever checked out.
Who is he? I hope he has nothing to do with the plot.
Right? She has to go to school, of course, and take exams. We find out from her friends that she's actually really good into writing, which is another reason we like her. She likes to write lyrics.
She made an amazing parody of Country Roads.
She did not only the first one, Concrete Roads, which was the song that she did. And she meets this jerk that tells her that he tells her that her song is corny. The lyrics are cornier than the first version. Kind of.
And then she's like, how dare you?
And like, typical to fashion. Oh, that jerk!
One thing I have to say about Miyazaki, whenever his characters get mad, their hair just kind of gets...
Their hair levitates. Heightened emotional state, including casting spells.
Their hair quivers.
Or anything that requires effort. Their hair just... She sees a cat riding the train. A big, fat cat. It's like, it's ignoring her completely.
Yeah,
and she keeps trying to talk to it.
Seriously, because everyone knows that if you keep talking to a cat,
it will talk back eventually. She's like, well, this is my stop. Later, snobby. The cat gets off of the train, and she decides, adventure time! I'm gonna follow it!
Because that's what you do.
So she follows this cat to this beautiful antique shop, where she meets this nice old man who has a clock he's repairing. Of course, if the clock wasn't there, she never would have noticed. Oh, by the way, I'm supposed to be taking my dad his lunch, and it's past 12.
She just rushes off.
She rushes off, and she leaves his lunch behind. And she's so happy, because it was like, it's such a wonderful adventure.
So she gets to the library, and lo and behold, where's that lunch?
And there's this guy that's like, hey, you!
You forgot it.
And it's the jerk.
Says
it's the jerk guy.
It's the jerk, and he basically says, you're a pig.
You're a pig. I can't believe you eat this much. And he gives her food, and she's like, how did you get this? And he's like, you can't guess. And he just drives off on his bicycle, and the cat from the store is like balanced on the back of the bicycle, just staring at her like, you idiot. And then he starts to sing the Concrete Road song that she wrote.
Yeah, and she's just really...
And she's just like, you jerk!
I thought it over.
She goes to that. She's really depressed because she feels like she doesn't do anything worthwhile. All she does is read books. And she doesn't know what she wants to do or be. And
because if you don't know who you are at 12...
Then in Japan, I guess that's an issue. So she goes back to the antique shop a few times, but it's closed each time, and she gets really depressed. She goes back to it one time, and the cat is there on the porch just like chilling. She's like just petting the cat, and then the jerk comes up, and he's like, no, Grandpa just keeps like really irregular hours. The store's not closed, I promise. And he takes her down and around through the basement so that she can look at the stuff inside.
He makes violins.
Yeah, but that comes later. First she stares at the Baron, which is this cat that's got like a really nice suit and cane and everything.
Okay.
Yeah, and she kind of comes up with this story for the Baron in her mind. But she goes downstairs and what is he doing? He's pursuing his dream.
Making fiddles.
He's making violins. And he's really very upset with himself because he feels like he can't make good violins.
Yeah, he wants to be the very best like no one ever was.
Something that's not a Miyazaki film. But points for Japanese. She pesters him about playing the fiddle. He says, okay, fine, I'll play you something. He starts playing,
country roads. And not only that.
Really well.
Yeah, good lord, very well.
Yeah, and she's singing like her lyrics to Country Roads. Anyway, his grandfather comes with a couple of his friends.
They start playing.
And they start playing on like the cello and the violin and
Got the Grand Ole Opry going on
yeah,
here.
they've got like a nice little band section there. And after the end of it, they're like, "Oh, nice vocals," and she's, "Thank you for the accompaniment." And then one of the guys says, "You have nice friends, Seiji."
And she's like,
"Yeah, you didn't tell me your name."
They start getting into a giant fight.
Yeah, and of course the older people do like,
they're in love.
well, I don't know if it was that, but they certainly started laughing at them like, "Oh, kids these days." You know?
Kids these days with the Walkmans and the pants on the ground.
Seiji's parents decide, okay, we'll send you to Italy so that you
the
can
best
study
violin
with the violin master
player.
who knows
And the fact is, she makes a bargain
with herself.
with herself that she can write the world's greatest story in 2 months.
In 2 months. She has to go to school, but she doesn't study.
She doesn't study well.
And she doesn't pay
starts
attention.
Failing school. Her parents are like, "Oh no."
She basically figures that she needs to have something to strive for to prove herself.
Yeah, so she wants to be a writer.
So she basically just sits at her desk constantly writing, and she's at everywhere she's writing, even at school, because there's one sequence where she's writing, and there's this story sequence, and you see it happening where she's looking
That's
for this...
where we get into Miyazaki.
Yeah, this beautiful sequence that's just amazing. All of a sudden, you hear somebody calling her name, and it's her teacher in class. And the teacher says, "What's the answer?" And she says, "I don't know. I wasn't paying attention." And he's like, "You haven't been paying attention a lot lately." And she's just like, "I'm sorry." And she just sits down. She just goes back to writing. And well, of course, her parents get called in. And her sister explodes at her because she's not gonna...
a terrible person.
She's not gonna make it in life if she doesn't hurry up and grow up. The dad basically tells her, "Look, we'll trust you to do what you're doing.
Want to do. And if you fail, it's up to you."
Because, you know, we've kind of wanted to not do what we have to do, too. So, you do that. But you're going to have to take responsibility for it, kiddo. She finishes the story.
She does finish the story, and she takes it to the old man.
She takes it to Seiji's grandfather at the antique shop. After he reads it, he says that it's good, but she's crying because she's like, "No, it's corny. It's not good. Some things just don't sound right at all." And he's like, "Oh, it's very raw, and you need to polish it." And she just breaks down, and he tells her, like, you know, everything, you've got to work on it in order for it to be good.
And then he does what everybody should do when you start breaking down. He gives her ramen.
He makes her ramen. Not the stuff that you buy at the grocery store in packages. No, we're talking Japanese ramen here. Evidently, Seiji ate several bowls of ramen whenever he first failed at making a violin. So
After the success, she goes home.
She goes home and she basically tells her parents, "So,
I'm done.
yeah, I'm done and I'm going to start studying now. Thanks."
Right, thanks. Have a nice day. Go
And,
to bed now. So she goes to bed.
The next day,
Guess who's at her window?
it's Seiji. No, it's not Edward Cullen. She wakes up early for once, and she looks up out
my
the
god,
window.
it's Seiji! What is he doing?
And it's him down there. And
he's like, "Come on.
He's like,
let's
"Come."
go. Adventure."
He takes her on his bike, like up this huge hill where he can show her the sunrise.
Yeah, and the sun starts coming up.
And
then
he
she's
says,
all like, "Oh, it's inspiring. It's wherever I go to get
Yeah.
inspired."
and he says that the guy that tested him for the violins, he said that he's not great, but he could be. He has the potential to be.
Yeah.
So he wants to study with him. Basically, he says, "Can you see us getting married?" And she's just like, "We could support each other while we're in school and just like be there for each other. When I come back, we could get married and you could be a professional writer and I could be a professional violinist." And she's just like,
"Okay, let's do this thing." The very last line of this
is
movie
him when he just hugs
"I
her.
love you."
Shizuku, I love you.
As far as Miyazaki films go, this was a really good one. I enjoyed it. I have to say that is actually one of my favorites.
It's also just like all the others. It's very long. There are moments of silence. The music is always beautiful too.
Oh my god!
Always.
Yes. That's why I admire about, because it's just people are hanging out the laundry and it's just so common. And
you get to observe people in their normal environment. It's like, oh, he has this wonderful quality of just weaving a story. And that's why you
Miyazaki
really
wants to keep you dancing.
There's a reason that Disney and Pixar wanted to join with Miyazaki. I mean, he basically is the Disney of Japan.
Yeah.
Essentially. We're going to close this out with saying, if you haven't seen them, you need to. You
suggest
also need to see Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh my god. What is life worth living if I can't be beautiful?
True story.
Man's my hero.